Alright, the next section we're going to be covering is going to be linear equations. Now I know that you've seen these linear equations before, and you've seen them multiple ways, but we're going to take this step by step. We're going to do this first one step, then we're going to do kind of 2 steps, then we're going to do multiple steps. So we're going to do this one section in probably 3 videos, because I really want to make sure that we know how to solve equations. Now, some important aspects to each of these equations is that each of these problems have one number that makes the equation true. Now, to solve these one-step equations, we must do one step, which will be either to add, subtract, multiply, or divide. We just have to recognize what we need to do. Whatever operation we see, we must do the opposite to solve. So for an addition problem, to solve this, we must subtract. The first example is x plus 5 equals 12. Now since I see plus, I'm going to subtract. So to solve it, I will subtract 5 from both sides. Now this is one side, and this is the other. The equal sign divides one side from the other. So when I subtract 5 from this side, I subtract 5 from this side. 12 take away 5 is 7. The next example is x plus 3 equals negative 2. Now since I see plus 3, I'm going to subtract 3. So when I subtract 3 from both sides, negative 2 take away 3 is negative 5. Now I know that some of these you may be able to do in your head. But when we get to multiple step equations, it's better that we understand the basics than to jump ahead to an intuitive idea. So once again, when you see addition, we use subtraction to eliminate. When we see subtraction, to solve, we must add. So m minus 7 equals 3. I'm going to go ahead and add 7 to both sides. Adding 7 over here cancels out the negative 7 and the positive 7. Over here, 3 plus 7 is 10. So m must equal 10 to make this statement true. In example 4, y minus 10 equals negative 3. I am going to add 10 to both sides, and negative 3 plus 10 gives me a positive 7. So if y equaled 7, in this equation, 7 minus 10 is negative 3. For multiplication, to solve, we have to divide. So if I had 6p equals 18, that's 6 times p. Since it's 6 times p, to solve, I'm going to divide by 6. 6 divided by 6 is 1, and 18 divided by 6 is 3. In the next example, I'm going to introduce some negatives. So negative 3b equals 12. Negative 3 times b is 12. So if I divide by negative 3 and divide by negative 3, 12 divided by 3 is 4. Well, a positive divided by a negative is a negative. So 12 divided by negative 3 is negative 4. Next up, we have division. To solve, we must multiply. So if I have c divided by 2 equals 3, I am going to do the opposite operation, and instead of dividing by 2, I'm going to multiply by 2. The 2's cancel out, and I multiply by 2 on both sides, so c equals 3 times 2, which is 6. Over here, e divided by negative 7 equals negative 5. I multiply by both sides, so I multiply both sides by negative 7. A negative times a negative is a positive, and 7 times 5 is 35. Last up is arguably the hardest one, and that's when you're dealing with a fraction as a coefficient. To solve, we have to multiply by its reciprocal. Its reciprocal means we take our fraction and we flip it. So if I have 2/3 f equals 6, I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal of 2/3. Well, when I flip 2/3, I get 3/2, or 3/2. Now, if I were to multiply these two reciprocals together, 3 times 2 is 6, 2 times 3 is 6, 6/6 is 1. So I'm just left with f. Whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So I also multiply 6, or 6/1, by 3/2. Now when I multiply straight across, 6 times 3 is 18, 1 times 2 is 2. 18 divided by 2 is 9, so therefore if f equaled 9, then 2/3 of 9 is 6. Last up, example 10, -1/4 of h is -2. If I multiply by its reciprocal, I flip the 1 and the 4 and I get -4/1. The negative and the negative cancel out, and 4 times 1/4 equals 1, so I'm just left with h on the left side. On the right side, -2/1 times -4/1. A negative times a negative is a positive, and 2 times 4 is 8. Your homework for tonight is going to be 5 problems. I'm sure you can get these done in the class time, and I've sorted it out by the type of one-step equation. We have addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and then one with a fraction. Do your best, and if you have any questions, let me know.